we started a few minutes late, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive into the questions if that's okay with you.
That's great. No problem.
Got it. All right. So you are the founder of Halo Collar, a cutting edge all-in-one dog safety system. I've done my research and can say that for anybody who has a dog, including me, it's a game changer. But for those of you in the audience who aren't familiar, can you please tell them a bit more about Halo Collar?
Sure. It really goes back to kind of when you own a dog, you want to let them out. And you want to let them, follow, play, explore, do all the things they need to do. But unfortunately, if you Google it, over 10 million dogs are lost every year. And I think it says almost 1 million dogs are run over by a car.
Yeah.
So it's terrible. And, really Halo started out of a tragedy when my niece's dog got out of their invisible fence. So they let her out in the backyard. They had the invisible fence, which is really like a wire around your property. Their dog, Ruby, got right past the fence and unfortunately became one of the statistics. And, it was my niece's first experience with death, and it was terrible and tragic. We were all crying. And then I was like, oh my God, this is a problem I know how to fix, because I had been in this industry my whole career, which is tracking, monitoring, and making sure they're being safe, high value assets for Fortune 100 companies. So in the past, it was forklifts, rental cars, and trailers. But now it was, people's most prized possession. They're really their family member, their dog. So all it really is if you know the invisible fence, Halo is, instead of a wire that you have to dig around your property and only works on your property, you just go into your phone, see a Google map view of wherever you are, your house or a park or your office or the beach, and you set up a perimeter by drawing a fence. And when your dog gets to the fence line, they're going to hear a beep. They're going to know that's the fence, and they're going to stop. And it's a concept that's been around for 25 years, the invisible fence, but it was using a wire. Now the dog doesn't know the difference between, a GPS fence and a wired fence. So now you can just take your dog with you anywhere. So that's the concept.
That's amazing. Yeah. And as I was telling you the other day, I live in apartment living. So I was like, oh, this product isn't necessarily for me. But then you pointed out the fact that you could bring that with you anywhere. And I mean, to know that I could go to the park or take them on a walk and know that you could keep them in a perimeter and not have, some sort of tragedy happen as a result is a super exciting technology.
And by the way, there's a lot of fear. So if you do let your dog off leash, you get nervous, and then maybe kids get nervous. For me, my kids used to cry. I wanted to let my dog off leash. This is before Halo. And they were like, no, you can't. She's going to run away. And of course, I would let her off leash and she'd run away. And then for hours. And I was like, oh, they were crying and it wasn't worth it. So, with Halo, I walk her off leash all the time now, because not only can I keep this perimeter, but one of the coolest features is that you can hit a button on your app that's called the whistle feature. And it's exactly what you would imagine, except with the collar. My dog is around, by the way. I may try the whistle feature and see if she comes running. Although I'm not.
Yeah.
The door is open.
I want to see this.
Yeah, let me see. So there's the app.
Oh, there we go. We get actual demonstration here. I like this.
Yes, and then you go to the command, the instant feedback, and you press the return whistle. Up. I just heard it, and look, there she is.
Oh, hi, babe.
Lucy. There she is.
Good girl.
Unbelievable. She gets it. I mean, dogs really get it. There's two things that the product comes down to. One is that beep means fence. And the second is that whistle means come. And, when I used to call her name, maybe she would listen 20% of the time. I mean, crazy. She knows exactly what that whistle means. And, I go on hikes in the mountain. I take her wherever I go, and she can run off after a deer. As soon as I hit that whistle button, she stops, turns around, and comes running to me like Lassie. In that case, walk, because she wasn't that far, but
that by itself is worth it. I swear, my dog's name is Bowie, and Bowie does not come for any reason at all unless I say, Bowie, do you want a treat?
Yes.
He's somewhere around the house right now. I'm going to say it again, treat. We'll see if he comes, but that's the
By the
only
way,
chance.
imagine the word treat comes out of the collar. I mean, basically,
Yeah.
this is the collar, and
Mhm.
there's a speaker on here, and you have Cesar Millan is our partner. He's the dog
Mhm.
whisperer. Like,
Yeah.
it's amazing. So he was like, all dogs respond to the whistle. It's just like
Yeah.
innate in their life. So he's like, build it into the collar. But we also have Caesar's famous like sound,
Oh, nice. I
it's
like
on here.
that.
We have some dog whistles. We have
Mhm.
like 40 or 50 sounds. It can vibrate.
Mhm.
And in an emergency, if you're in a fence and your dog gets near the road and is not responding to the prompts, it can
Mhm.
escalate to static. So that
Yeah.
gets their attention. But it
That's
doesn't hurt.
great.
It just gets
That's
the
good.
Mm.
Glad to hear that. Well, that actually dovetails right into my next question I was going to ask. I mean, it's impossible to talk about Halo Collar without talking about the dog whisperer himself, Cesar Millan. Please tell us what it's like to partner with the world's most famous dog expert and how critical he's been to the company's inception and overall growth.
So I would say that's by far been the best part. Just being able to spend time with Caesar. I mean, obviously, I don't have that much experience with celebrities, so I'd never been around people like this before, but he just, has this energy and this aura around him. It's hard to explain where like you're enwrapped when you're listening to him speak, and specifically around human nature and dog nature. He understands how dogs think because he understands how Mother Nature intended them to think, I guess. So
Yeah.
he, you know, speaking of the D'Amelios, I will just mention this.
Mhm.
The first time, we were so excited to get Caesar together with the D'Amelios. They have 4 dogs. They had 4 Halo collars on their dogs, and we got them to their house. And the dogs were all running all over the place. He comes in, and within an instant, he identifies who the alpha dog was of the 4 dogs, walks over to that dog, puts a leash on the dog, sits the dog down next to him, very comforting. The other 3 dogs stopped in their tracks. They didn't know what to do and all came over like in a huddle. I mean, it was unbelievable. So like Caesar knows dogs, and then like they're like, oh, the dogs always bark when the doorbell rings. He's like, I'll fix that. And then he's almost like a magician for dogs. So the
Yeah.
bottom line is having him involved for 3 years in the development of Halo Collar. I mean, he's like right on the box, really,
The
because
face.
it's all his, kind of wisdom that's built into it, like the return whistle. I mean, he heard the product was just going to replace the fence, and he was like, there's so much more you could do with it. And he continues to have ideas. Like, he's really a big believer in the walk, pack walk. You have to walk with your dogs, and that when you're walking your dog, that's when they're in school. That is when, to the dog, they can play all day long, but when they're walking with you, they're in school and they need to follow. You're the teacher. And he's a big believer that's a critical part of having a great relationship with your dog, is that pack walk or the walk. And of course, are the pack leader. And so we're going to be able to actually implement that walk feature with the collar as well. So not the way I do it, where you hit the whistle and you can track her anyway, and she'll come back. This would be more of a formal thing where your dog will stay with you and concentrate on you. And then, if you say it's okay, you can let them go and play. So just having Caesar involved in the product is just amazing. I mean, I would say he's half the product. You have Caesar, who's really the dog part, and then my brother, who's the tech genius. So
where does that leave you?
I just put a few pieces together. I really don't do much, actually.
Good. Well, you said even in the aesthetic part of the design and everything. Tell us a little bit about what Caesar did there.
Yes. So, when we first were designing the collar, it was more like a box on the end of a strap. And he was like, that's what everything looks like. That's not beautiful. I want it to look beautiful. So this was the design. So it's kind of a flexible design to fit your dog with these carabiners on it. It attaches to a strap that's waterproof. You can jump in the ocean with it. But when this is on your dog, it really looks like almost like a medal you might have won from the Olympics. And that's how Caesar wants you to treat Halo. It's like when you put Halo on your dog is going to be doing something fun.
Yeah, your dog is like your best advertisement right here. What a good dog.
I hate to say it, but she's been a real beta tester along the way. All the fun, she had to deal with them.
I hope she's cutting on the profits.
She should.
I love it. Well, let's cut to the topic of today, which we kind of gave a little clue into it, but since the theme today is TikTok, let's dive into some really exciting news. Halo recently partnered with the first family of TikTok, the D'Amelios, to promote Halo Collar. Obviously, Charlie and Dixie are two of the biggest TikTok stars in the world, and have by proxy made their whole family into public figures, including their 4 dogs, who boast nearly 1 million followers on their own account. Tell us how you created this partnership and what made you want to partner with the D'Amelios to promote Halo.
So, we have been going down more of a traditional marketing path. And when I say traditional, it's modern. So it's not like really traditional. I mean, really traditional would be make stores in malls and, go through Petco or, Best Buy. That's more traditional. We were like, no, we're going to be direct to consumer. We're going to use TV. We're going to use Google ads. We're going to use Facebook ads, Instagram ads. The more, I'm calling it traditional, but it's still fairly modern. So, and Caesar has 12 million followers. That was good. But basically what I was saying to myself is, okay, we got the world's best dog expert. Now we're moving to the marketing phase where we really want to get the word out about Halo Collar. So we've been out now. Some of you may have heard of us. Some of you may not have heard of us. But we've sold about 45,000 Halo collars over the last year. We've been working out everything, getting the customers as happy as could be. And now we're going to next year where we're going to do probably close to 500,000 collars. So it'll be 10 times the amount. And I believe the most cost-effective way to do that was with a relationship with the, TikTok's biggest star. So I was like, who's the biggest and the best that we could possibly partner with? And just like Caesar was in the dog world, to me, it was about the D'Amelios and Charlie D'Amelio specifically, because I was like, people get their dogs for their kids most of the time. And of course, they end up taking care of it themselves, but they get them for the kids. So, the idea was, look, if the kids are, love their dogs, which everyone does, it's going to be an amazing way to get it out to. I mean, if you look at it now, if you add up, the numbers of followers between Heidi, Mark, Dixie, Charlie, and the family, it's well over 200 million people. So almost like a Super Bowl ad every time they do a TikTok about Halo Collar. So, and it's kind of sets up great for video, because like, I wish I just had that on video when I hit the return whistle, although it is recorded, but like, the cool parts of the Halo Collar, if you own a dog and want to spend time with them, are what you could see on a video. And you could take amazing videos of you and your dog using Halo Collar. And by the way, after Charlie did her first TikTok with Halo, we launched our own channel, and we ended up with like 20,000 followers.
Would it be fair to call that a halo effect?
Very much so, by the way. Very much.
So I know that the partnership is on the newer side, but what have they actively done for you so far?
So they've done a few things. They did a YouTube video with Caesar. They've done a few TikToks, but we haven't really been pushing it hard yet, because what's interesting is we're trying to match supply and demand. So we're already sold out of the Halo 1s, and now we're actually selling Halo 2s, and those are coming out and actually already shipping. We're doing a really big press release in a week and a half at Mobile World Congress. But the point is that we are now really ready to kick it into the half. we're now is when we want to start leveraging that relationship. We didn't need to.
Mhm.
We're able to sell as many as we could build
Mhm.
in more traditional methods pretty cost effectively. But now to really go to mass, you know, mass use, that's where the D'Amelios are really going to become important.
Okay. Well, between their push and Q4, I think we're going to see a lot of Halo collars under Christmas trees this year.
Yes, I believe that is true, and I hope that is true. But I think for the dog's sake, I will say, I mean, and I say this a lot, but because what happens is every week for anyone who buys Halo, we do a Zoom webinar just like this for all new customers. So
Mhm.
this is something
Wow.
that you know, we believe in. I do it every time. I walk the customers through, give them an orientation. This is Halo. This is how you
You
set.
yourself do this?
Yes. Mhm.
Wow. I'm very impressed. You must be round the clock on this.
Well, we do it every Wednesday at 4:30, and it's my favorite 2 hours. I mean, I stay on there till every question is answered. It's really my
Okay.
favorite 2 hours of the week. And you know,
Mhm.
sometimes we get 300-400 people on, sometimes we get more, sometimes we get 30 or 40 if that week for whatever reason not that many people signed up. But I am also a believer, and this is part of why I think TikTok's so great,
Mhm.
is in people might not want to watch an hour and a half video of me demonstrating how to get the product set up if it was
Mhm.
recorded.
Mhm.
But live, people like live, and people
Interactive. Yep.
yes, it's so we get a lot of people, and it really, you
Mhm.
know, what I was going to say is, so on those weekly calls, I always say, I'm not, it's like the hair club for men, although obviously I'm
By
not,
Sperling.
I'm not a user of the hair club for men, obviously. But my point is that like him, you know, he was both the founder and the customer.
Yeah.
Well, I'm both the founder and the customer. I mean, I use the
Mhm.
Halo collar with my dog every day.
Mhm.
So, you know, I see what's great about it. I see when there's issues that we need to fix, and I, you know, have ideas about ways to make it better every night that actually I can do. And, you know, it's amazing. There's just so many ways that I use it. I mean, my
Mhm.
father-in-law wanted us to come over and swim in their pool. It was a month ago.
Mhm.
It's too cold
Mhm.
for that now. And they have all these flowers and flower beds, and they didn't trust that my dog was not going to ruin the flowers, and she
Mhm.
has in the past. So with Halo, you have a piece called the beacon,
Mhm.
and it's basically just a little Bluetooth beacon
Mhm.
that I'll just show it to you because I love it. And again, it's very useful. You
Mhm.
take this, I put it in the bushes where the flowers
Mhm.
were, and it
Mhm.
does the same thing as the fence. It just beeps when she goes near it. She knows beep means don't
Mhm.
go any further. And so she
Yeah.
won't go in the flower bed. So, you know, you could use that in the city so your dog won't go maybe on a couch. You know, you really are, all it comes down to is teaching your dog beep means fence and whistle means come back. And it's
Mhm.
pretty straightforward.
Love it. Also, I'm very relieved to hear that this is a weekly forum with like 400 people. I literally pictured you just like day and night, just on the phone.
Oh,
That would
no.
drive you insane, I believe.
Well, I will say the other day I took a big risk. We actually had a situation where we wanted to alert all of our customers of an issue that they could have been having. And so I sent out an email. Hey, you guys, just check if you have this issue. I got a lot of feedback, like, thanks so much for doing that. And then in my reply, I wrote, and if you're having any problems with Halo, if you're not loving it, send me an email. And it went to like 35,000 people. So my team was like, you're crazy. And I ended up only getting about 120 responses. And we dealt with all the issues those people had within a day or two. And now I could feel confident I could send out that kind of email and not be too worried about it.
Well, for now, if you keep going the route that you are, that might be the worst idea. Only worse would be giving him your phone number.
Yeah. Oh God. Mhm.
Your wife would kill you.
Maybe she would kill me.
All right, let's do one more on the TikTok side, and then we'll go into a little bit more specific on the brand. So with TikTok's meteoric rise, virtually every brand on earth has had to implement it as part of their marketing strategy. Do you plan to make it a part of your larger marketing plan overall?
I think it's one of our main platforms that I want to leverage, because so when someone was going, if you think about it, for our product, we're really trying to be the more modern version of the invisible fence. So if you are going to buy the invisible fence, you can't buy it at Home Depot or, Best Buy or Walmart or even Amazon. You have to have someone, for those who know the invisible fence, you have to have someone come to your house, decide where you're going to put the wire around your property. Then they have to come out and dig the wire into the property. They got to give you a quote, of course. You have to be okay with that. It's usually $2,000-$3,000 at a minimum. Then they have to come back and train your dog. So the whole process is like a 2 to 3 week process, and you have to have someone locally doing it. So you find them on Google. So you say, you need a local dealer to install the fence and train your dog. So Google's kind of our number one disruptive platform, because if someone's searching invisible fence, which people do 500,000 times a month, which is crazy. Wow. And if you think about it, you're not really searching it unless you're looking to buy one. So getting them to know there's a wireless version, not just wired, is Google. But second to that, from an awareness standpoint, that's why we, team with the D'Amelios. It's because we really want to get the message out there. And, Caesar's designed it, but not everyone is Caesar. Everyone knows no, Caesar's unbelievable, but the regular person has to be able to use the technology too. And that's what the D'Amelios represent. Like, okay, I'll take Caesar's invention and I'll use it to have a, off leash, safe life with my dog. So, that's where they kind of fit in. So I would say that number 2 channel is going to be through the D'Amelios and TikTok. And then third will be Caesar's, and Caesar does TikToks too. So we're definitely going to get more focused on that, getting him to really embed, kind of the message of Halo in his TikToks as well.
Wow, you are the electric fence slayer. They must be shaking in their boots with you.
Oh, I mean, you would think they would be worried, but there are people who are going to continue to want the old tried and true. My parents may still have a rotary phone somewhere. I mean,
I was going to say 50 plus maybe, but going younger, I think you got them. That's great. So your brand's been growing rapidly since 2018. Tell us about this journey, and also tell our audience where they can find Halo collars.
Sure. Well, 2018 was all in the development phase. So that was when we were huddling with Caesar and my brother and trying to envision, we weren't doing something totally radical. In other words, we didn't want dogs already respond to the invisible fence. They've been doing that for 25, 30 years. I mean, that's a technology that works. Of course, in the case of my niece's dog, the problem with it is you can get past the wire. So if your dog just runs past the wire, they're out. So with GPS, you can't really get out. So the first 2.5 years were really the development phase. And then at the end of 2020 is when we started selling the collars. We sold out of the first 3,000 pretty quickly. Those people were called early adopters, because with all technology, we knew we did all this alpha testing, beta testing. You could do all of that, but that when you get it out to the first 3,000 people, you're going to find issues. So we sold it and got the Halo collars into the hands of 3,000 dogs. The response was amazing. Everyone really loved it. There were issues, but it was overwhelmingly positive. So we dealt with all the issues and then went to mass production in December of 2020. And since then, like I said, we've sold about 45,000 collars. Which is about $50 million, roughly 40, something like that. So it was a pretty good growth from like 3 million in 2020 to we're on track for about 45 million in sales this year. And then
I think they call that pretty good.
Yes. So we're happy with that. And the good news is that the people who have the Halo one love it. I mean, people come up to me and say it's life changing. It's something that, unlike things that people have had in the dog industry forever, which are trackers,
Mhm.
the trackers, just like if your dog gets out, you could track it, but it's not going to change your life. You're not going to take your dog off leash. You're not going to let them out in the backyard because
Mhm.
they're just going to run away. So you can't, people still need fences. They still needed the invisible fence. And now they can use Halo Collar. It's much easier. And you could take your dog with you, which is the greatest. And you can use it for so many other things. So
Mhm.
I'm just excited for everybody to hopefully have as much of an experience with it as Reese's and I do. And you can get it at halocollar.com. So it's
Love it.
www.halocollar.com.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I can definitely relate. I mean, our dog just came with us to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So we've got a world traveler with us, and it'd be nice to have that peace of mind with you.
It's amazing. I mean, you could literally go to the beach, draw a fence. I mean, I could show you that on my phone. Draw a fence
Mhm.
and it works. I mean,
Anywhere on Earth?
anywhere on earth.
Wow,
Amazing.
that's amazing. Wow. We
People
touched
send
on it a little bit,
pictures
but I
everywhere.
want to talk about the specifics of it. So, like myself, people who have dogs in the audience are probably thinking to themselves, most of these collars in the past have been based on shocking the hell out of a dog and scaring the bejesus out of them.
Yes.
What does your product do, and how's it different from competitors?
So a bunch of things different. That's the way Invisible Fence does it, is that way. So they train through fear.
Mhm.
So by the way, that does work, sadly, but it's
Sadly.
not. But it's actually been to my dog's benefit now because, maybe it did hurt when she learned it from the Invisible Fence people 9 years
Mhm.
ago, but
Mhm.
she learned it. And now she doesn't even need the static. I showed you on her collar. I don't even have that. She knows beep means fence. So she's
Mhm.
learned it and it's
Mhm.
ingrained. The same way now she knows whistle means come back. So
Mhm.
the way the training works today is you have a first level, which is a warning. That's going to be the beep. And you really
Mhm.
want to train your dog. Beep means fence. You don't want to, you do that inside, you use that beacon until
Mhm.
they get that. You don't let them out. So you
Mhm.
definitely, they're not ready. So you're not using static. You're not doing any of that during the training. The training is
Mhm.
beep fence. And Caesar Milan walks you step by step through that training. It's a pretty simple concept. It's like leave it.
Mhm.
Let's say beep means leave it. It means stop,
Yep.
turn around. So
Yep.
once they learn that, then you can move outside. But once
Mhm.
you do, so the way it works is if your dog continues to, so if they hear the beep, but they don't listen,
Mhm.
and the halo understands whether your dog listens, because if your dog stops or turns around,
Mhm.
we know they listened. It's very simple. We monitor that. So we have a motion sensor and we have a compass. So it's
Mhm.
built into Halo. So if your dog hears that beep and she stops and turns around, everything stops.
Okay.
She keeps going away from safety and out of the fence, it will escalate to whatever the middle level you set is, which most
Mhm.
people, the base configuration is vibrate. So now you're just trying to get you, for some reason, they didn't listen to the warning. And by the way, we show you the scores in the app that says, hey, your dog listens to the warning 90% of the time, 95% of the time, whatever it is. So you don't necessarily have to let them out until they're responding appropriately. But
Mhm.
then if they don't, it'll go to vibrate. And then
Mhm.
if they continue and not respond, so it'll be beeping and vibrating. If they're not going to respond to that, it can escalate to static, where where you can configure it to whatever level you want.
Mhm.
But what you want to do is configure it to a level that just gets their attention. I mean, no, you
Mhm.
can't make it, you can't even make it any higher than, let's say, if you were walking across the carpet with socks
Mhm.
on and you touched the doorknob. It's
Gotcha.
definitely going to get your attention, but it's not going to
Mhm.
hurt. It's like a Thames unit or something. But the idea
Yeah.
is to get your attention because you're about to potentially go on a street. I mean, people use
Mhm.
this in places where there's streets and a million
Mhm.
dogs are killed. So
Mhm.
you don't, if they're not listening to the warning, which Reese's does every time, she literally
Mhm.
knows.
Mhm.
But if she doesn't, it's going to escalate once and then it's going to escalate again to
Mhm.
whatever level you set it at.
Mhm. By the way, great name, Reese's. Is she a chocolate lab?
She's a rescue, but she has a brindle coloring, which is unusual for a lab. So she's like a brindle lab. They don't know if she's Park Greyhound, those that are DNA tested, but
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure where the brindle came from. Pit bulls usually have a brindle. See where she is. I'm gonna whistle her again.
In the meantime, I got another question for you. So you're an early innovator of the IoT space, with one of your companies even going public. Please tell us about your experience in IoT and how that journey ultimately led you to create Halo Color.
That's a great question. Thank you. So I was an engineer. I graduated Stanford in 1991. I actually have my 30-year reunion coming up. I'm going in next weekend. Crazy. But when I graduated, and this is a long time ago, as we just said, I went to work at a tech company in Silicon Valley called Echelon. And it was a hot company founded by one of the founders of Apple. And it was going to be the microchip inside of everything but computers. So they're like, Intel can do the computers. We want to be inside of like air conditionings, light switches, basically they were the Internet of Things, but before the internet. I don't even know if the internet existed.
You're just of things.
They want to be smart things. So I worked there for about a year and a half, loved the concept, and actually left to take their chip and build it into what was then called RFID tags. So basically, you took their chip and you put it into a device that we put on forklift trucks, rental cars, and trailers, like tractor trailers. Like so every Walmart trailer has our technology on it. Almost every forklift in the world has some kind of technology on it now that is based upon the technology that my brother and I invented to control access to forklifts. And it's amazing. You wouldn't know this, but forklifts are the #2 cause of deaths for Fortune 100 companies. So keeping only trained people using the equipment was very important. And, I think it was 100,000 people a year were seriously injured in forklifts. And so it was a big problem. And we worked with Fortune 200 companies to try to solve it. So we were in every Ford forklift, Walmart, Home Depot, Procter and Gamble, all the big companies were using it. And the technology was really focused on collecting information about these assets and making sure they were used safely and efficiently. And then when my niece's dog got out of their invisible fence, basically I had a new calling. There was more dogs than forklifts, rental cars, and trailers combined. And, like Caesar loves to say, birds need to fly, fish need to swim, and dogs need to live a life off leash. They need to, he would say, follow, play, and explore. And it's critical. And so, it's just it's a great mission. It's a great just experience to have so many people say that it's allowed them to have such a better time with their dog and feel safe and comfortable about it. Plus just little anecdotes all the time. Like Caesar was training Russell Wilson and Sierra's dog. And basically he told them to use the beacon in their bassinet to keep their dog away when they weren't there.
Smart.
And they were like, oh, that's such a great idea. And, it's just, there's so many different creative ways our, Halo pack members have been using their collars. And I love hearing their stories. And, I have so many of my own. So it's just, it's a great just thing to be a part of, really.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking to myself, it must feel so rewarding to know that you can help so many people and save so many dogs, especially being a dog, lover and owner yourself. It must be very, very rewarding.
Right. I mean, I never really drove a forklift. I did use rental cars.
Fair enough. All right, well, we're about to wrap up, but I have one more question for you to close it out. So we're about to head into 2022. This year has flown by like a blur. What do you look forward to both personally and professionally in the upcoming year?
So to me, it's about meeting amazing people. So, just like you. So, we just
Feelings mutual.
right. Well, that's to me over the last year, I've met so many amazing people, including the D'Amelios, as well as, so many other just amazing. The more you do, the more people want to be a part of it. And then I'm just, you know, being exposed to people and things who are all just world-class leaders in their field, you know, amazing people. And to me, that's what I love. Although I love dogs, I also love people. And
Me too.
that's my favorite part. And I'm looking forward to, I don't know yet, all the people I'm going to meet in 2022, but I'm very excited about it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully the world is just that much more open so that we can go back to doing what we do best, which is interact.
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ken. I promise next time we're in the same town together, we'll grab a beer, grab some dinner. I've really enjoyed making friends with you over the last couple of days, and definitely going to stay in touch.
Thanks so much. I really
All
appreciate
right. Take care, Ken.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, folks. So we made it to the end of the day. What a spectacular day of content. You got to hear it all today. You got to hear from brands. You got to hear from creators. You got to hear from experts in the field. You got to hear from the people behind the platform TikTok that we were talking about all day today. So thank you all for staying with us. Let's see. If you want to hear from more live cast from Brand Innovators, there's great news for you. Next week is Advertising Week in New York City, and my friends here at Brand Innovators will be bringing 4 straight days of virtual content starting on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Registration is now available on the Brand Innovators website. Until next time, this is Chris Detert from Influential. Thank you for watching, and always keep innovating. Bye.